Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the...
Tudo começou em 16 de abril de 2005 no Autódromo de Interlagos. Uma ideia ousada que deu vida a um novo capítulo do automobilismo nacional. Desde então, aceleramos forte e cruzamos fronteiras. Corremos na Argentina, em Portugal e na Espanha, levando a emoção da Porsche Cup para além do Brasil. Crescemos, evoluímos e hoje somos mais de 70 carros na pista e milhares de apaixonados pelo Brasil e pelo mundo. Nada disso seria possível sem Denner, que idealizou essa jornada, e sem cada pessoa que fez parte dessa história.
It will be a really exciting
por esses 20 anos.
So we're going to see two fantastic races over the course of proceedings. I can expect a very thrilling race from the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil's 6th race of the season, the 2nd of the weekend. It's going to be a reverse grid pole position on this particular occasion for Luc Monteiro, across the line in 8th position in yesterday's first race of the weekend, because the top 8 drivers from the first races of this weekend are going to be reversed on the starting grid, which means that Luc Monteiro will be on pole position, and yesterday's race 1 winner Marcos Regadas will be starting from the 8th position of the grid. And of course, this weekend is a very momentous one, a 20th anniversary special edition of the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil, going back to the 16th of April 2005 on this very circuit, when the championship kicked off in very fantastic fashion with some great racing. And for the last 20 years, it's pretty much been exactly the same story. We've had a very exciting weekend in which we've seen Ronaldo, the Brazilian football striker of the early part of the 21st century, taking to the wheel of one of these very fantastic Porsche Carrera Cup cars. The front position of the starting grid is being left empty this weekend in deference to Papa Francisco, who very sadly left us recently, a very popular member of the paddock. A minute's silence was given over to his memory at the start of proceedings today as well. But drivers are expecting a very exciting battle on the course. We could see some really exciting overtakes from drivers on this particular circuit. 25 minutes on the board, and let's not forget that this weekend we are also sampling for the very first time the new activation boosts. Luc Monteiro and Lucas Salas on the front row of the starting grid for race 2. Assista will be lining up 3rd on the grid alongside Christian Hahn, an early favourite for this second race. Miguel Paludo, championship leader, alongside Matheus Campeonato, the F4 Brazil champion from last year. Thiago Vivacqua, alongside race 1 winner Marcos Regadas. Then to round out the top 10, it's Antonella Bassani and Alci Feldman-Nito, the two teenagers at the bottom end of the top 10. Francisco Horta alongside Yosimar Junior on the 6th row of the grid. They will start in front of Nelson Marcondes and Israel Salmen, both drivers in the sports category. Then we'll have Ruben Zimkovic alongside Gustavo Jaron. They will line up together 15th and 16th on the starting grid. Christian Moore is beside Nelson Monteiro as they run together on row 9. To round out the top 20, it is Carlos Campos and Rodrigo Melo. 21st on the starting grid, just in behind them. A very interesting race for Silvio Morostoni, the leading rookie yesterday. He'll want to win it again. Marco Bilio alongside him on the grid. 23rd on the starting grid will be Leonardo Sanchez. He goes beside his fellow rookie, Bruno Campos, 24th on the grid. Row 13, we'll see Seba Malucelli alongside the leopard print, Marco Pisani. 27th on the start grid as they share row 14 will be Marcel Muller, who dropped all the way back once again. Edu Guedes lining up 20 on the starting grid. Then it is Miguel Mariotti alongside Flavio Champao. And then the very tail end of the grid will be formed by Paulo Souza alongside Vanyo Pontes in 32nd position. And at the very tail end of the field in 33rd and last will be Eduardo Menossi, the race's first retirement yesterday. So incredibly, lightning has struck 3 times in the first 3 rounds of the championship. Marcel Muller leading race 1 of the weekend on all 3 occasions in the first 3 rounds of the 2025 season, and losing the victory through some kind of technical malady. So let's see what happens as we go to the first corner. Luc Monteiro and Lucas Salas side by side for the second time this weekend in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. We are racing at Interlagos. Down to the first corner, Linu Perez has got a good start. Luc Monteiro around the far side. A very late lunge from Thiago Vivacqua to try and drive right around the outside. It's not going to work, and Linu Perez is going to hold it as he's Geração skips over the chicane, and there's pandemonium. We've got cars all over the road. Several drivers had to take avoiding action as Linu Perez needs Salas and Vivacqua. Miguel Paludo running in fourth position as the drivers make their way to the braking zone for Interlagos. So they run through once again, and it's going to be Lucas Salas now in front of Thiago Vivacqua as the drivers work their way up to the first part of the hill complex, and now Vivacqua will get the inside line to maybe the second position. Still a big pressure cooker for that P2 as Lucas Salas tries to get himself back on the inside line of Vivacqua. Our overhead picture is telling us that it's going to be a very tough race in the midfield. Marcel Muller was one of the drivers that had to take avoiding action for that first chicane as Miguel Paludo goes wheel to wheel with Christian Hahn. And there is Thiago Vivacqua losing more places, having had a bit of a run wide. He now drops in behind Miguel Paludo, and that's Christian Hahn alongside him. The door as they run through Majulio up towards Juncao. In through the left-hander, Vivacqua's held his position in front of Christian Hahn for the time being. But Linu Perez is the leader in front of Lucas Salas and Marcos Regadas. The race one winner is already up into third position. A fantastic start from Regadas, who really is enjoying a sensational 20th anniversary race weekend. Over the line, Linu Perez needs Salas, Regadas, Paludo, Vivacqua, Christian Hahn, Alcin Feldman, Matthias Caparato as to the inside line. Alcin Feldman takes on his first look at Christian Hahn. So as the drivers work their way through the Senna S and into the Curva de Sol, now down the Reta Oposta. There's a bit of one of the cars falling off the machine as they go through the Reta Oposta. Miguel Paludo trying to shake off the intentions of Thiago Vivacqua as Lucas Salas makes his bid for the lead. Dives down the inside of Linu Perez, but he's going to run wide in the exit. And surely Perez will take the lead back again. Does so, and now Regadas is going to be pushing hard to try and get back on the inside of Lucas Salas, but Salas is going to go door to door with Perez, and he gets through. Perez drifts wide onto the marbles, and that's going to be Thiago Vivacqua. Marcos Regadas through to the inside line and into second place. Perez continues to drift wide. Paludo has gone through. Vivacqua's gone through. Christian Hahn is trying to finish off the move around the outside. Linu Perez holds it, but Christian Hahn still got space on the inside line of the Pico de Pato, and he gets onto the inside line and finishes the move as Alcin Feldman tries to get on the inside now of Linu Perez, and it's not going to work. There's Antonella Bassani trying to chase them down as they work through. But on the second lap of racing, quite a lot has already taken place here. Marcos Regadas chasing down the leader, Lucas Salas. And as we mentioned before, we are also incorporating the push to pass system, the boost activations over the course of this weekend. They will not have any boosts left over the course of the weekend as into the pits to retire has come Gustavo Janon. So now the battle into the first corner. Janon out of the race. Salas is having to defend big time here from Marcos Regadas. Regadas can get the switch out of the Senna S and runs round the outside of the Curva de Sol. Miguel Paludo fancies his chances here as well as Regadas continues. They're going to be side by side. Regadas holds the car around the far side. Lucas Salas having to outbrake him into the left-hander. And it's a really close proximity race now. The boost activation system has definitely tightened things up from the drivers up at the front of the field. Regadas swarming around behind our race leader Lucas Salas is Paludo. Linu Perez going wheel to wheel with Christian Hahn as Matthias Caparato tries to get his way out the inside line as well. Antonella Bassani finds herself in 8th place. Caparato side by side with Christian Hahn, who goes right round the outside and then for the Piñereño up towards the Pico de Pato. Linu Perez going well from Christian Hahn, Caparato and Antonella Bassani. That's Geração behind them as well. Here are the leading four. Lucas Salas, Marcos Regadas, Miguel Paludo, and in 4th place, Thiago Vivacqua. A very good challenge indeed for the leading four. It's already a much more exciting and intense race than we saw earlier on. A lot of the drivers will have left the best part of their boost activations until this second race. So a lot of boosts will be coming in as the drivers will try to use the last of their activations as Thiago Vivacqua gets through on the inside of Miguel Paludo, clearly on the boost. And it looks as though behind him we're going to get a push forward as well from Christian Hahn. He overtakes Luc Perez on the way to the first corner. Once you activate the boost button, you get 25 seconds of 20 more horsepower. Once deactivated, you then can't use the system for another 100 seconds. That's Christian Moore in the pit lane. He's out of the race as well by the look of it. Damage sustained at the first corner melee. And it looks as though other drivers have dropped down the order in sympathy. Yosemar Junior was the one who spun out of the leading group. But the top four still close. Salas, Regadas, Vivacqua and Paludo. Then it is Christian Hahn ahead of Inez Caparato, Bassani and Alcif Feldman Nito, father and son together. Up to the inside line, that's Rodrigo Melo going wheel to wheel with Marco Pisani, hoping that he can also at the same time shake off Leonardo Sanchez. This could be a chance now for Marcos Regadas, but he's going to leave the door open by the look of it for Thiago Vivacqua. Vivacqua trying to draw level with Regadas. It was a race victory for Regadas yesterday. Now he's trying to take on the might of the Carrera Cup drivers as we ride on board with Miguel Paludo, the championship leader. Paludo down to the zone, turns into the left-hander, and as they climb up the crest, this is where Paludo can be really tactical and figure out where he is on the road. Now we can see on digital readout on the LED dashboard there, he's got 6 boost activations left on his LED screen. And down the straight, it looks like a boost activation is being used by Lucas Salas. Paludo is using his round the outside. Can he get himself into third? No, he cannot. The Christian Hahn has got 5th position. Caparato looks like he's worked his way around the outside of Luc Perez. As now we've got Lucas Salas versus Marcos Regadas. Down the road to Alposta. Thiago Vivacqua has pulled clear of Miguel Paludo. So some big pressure from the drivers down the back straight as Caparato is now ahead of Bassani and Alcif Feldman. Luc Perez drops further back. He runs wide as Alcif Feldman Nito gets through in the Lightning McQueen colours. Luc Perez chasing down the Rusties number 95 in the colours he made famous by the Disney Pixar franchise. On the inside, that's Marcel Muller. He's making his way up through the field yet again, as he had to do in the previous 2 rounds of the championship in race 2 on both occasions. Alcif Feldman Nito is the fastest man on the track, 1:37.662, the new fastest lap. Marcel Muller, by the way, is up into 15th place, having just got ahead of Nelson Montero. His next target to chase down is going to be Nelson Marcondes, as side by side, further back, that is Marco Billy going wheel to wheel there, I believe, with Bruno Campos. Rodrigo Melo is trying to get himself in the mix there as well. Oh, a lot of great racecraft. That's actually Ruben Zimkovic trying to shake off the attentions of the 14 of Carlos Campos as we go into the next lap, and it's a very courageous run in the middle of the field. But Lucas Salas continues to lead it all. Regadas, Vivacqua, Paludo and Christian Hahn. Side by side down the main straight. That is the 14 of Carlos Campos. There's not a lot he can do as Ruben Zimkovic is trying to get back on terms with him. And down to the braking zone into the first turn. That's Marco Pisani getting through alongside the hard-charging Leonardo Sanchez and runs round the outside at the center S and gets in front. Good run from Marco Pisani. Back to the front of the pack. And there are 3 drivers fighting for this race victory now. Lucas Salas, Marcos Regadas, and in third position, Thiago Vivacqua. We've got a penalty that is being investigated. Well, the incident at turn 2 on the start is under investigation, so we don't know if a penalty is going to be handed out or not, but certainly there could be a penalty or 2 that arises from that investigation. We'll try and keep you up to date if anything does change. 10 minutes into this 25-minute race. And so far, so good for Lucas Salas. It's Regadas and Thiago Vivacqua. Paludo is just sitting tight in 4th position, waiting to see how far into this race he's going to need to carry these tyres, because it's going to be a smart driver that keeps into the battle. Right, on board, this is with Thiago Vivacqua. Look at the LED screen. He's on the push to pass. He's got 3 boosts left. He's going to use this opportunity to storm up the inside of Marcos Regadas, and into second place he goes. So the flashing headlights tell you that we are on the boost activation system. The leader's doing the same, Lucas Salas. Sadly, for Marcos Regadas, he cannot use his yet. He must be on cooldown. as Miguel Paludo tightens up his grip on the battle as well, up into 4th position. I tell you what, this boost activation system has definitely intensified the race action, as there is Marcel Muller having just got the overtaking move on Francisco Horta and Silvio Monastoni, the leading rookie. So now Marcel Muller is setting off after the next man in, and that is going to be Israel Salman. Run wide from Regadas. Coy was lucky to keep that, but he runs on the far side of Thiago Vivacqua. And now surely he's going to get his run into 2nd position on the inside line. He does indeed, but he drifts wide on the exit. That's going to be enough for Vivacqua to get back on terms with Regadas. Regadas wide. And Vivacqua holds on the inside line to get into 2nd place once again. Miguel Paludo will be seeking a chance to break into the top 3. Very close at the moment. Lucas Salas holding on nicely here. 2nd place for the number 10 of Thiago Vivacqua. Then yesterday's race 1 winner, Marcos Regadas. 3rd place in front of Miguel Paludo, the championship leader. They go out of Magello up towards Juncao. And now it looks as though the top 4 may become the top 5, because Christian Hahn is closing up, as is Matias Camerato. So it could even become the top 6 before too long. Certainly Paludo is eyeing up a chance here to make the overtaking bid here on Marcos Regadas. Meanwhile, the slipstream effect, not the boost activation, is playing good for Thiago Vivacqua as he runs in behind Lucas Salas. When he made the time in the first corner, he's way too far back to make that one stick, as Alsu Feldman is trying to get move on Antonella Bassani into turn 1, but she will not be intimidated with any cheap deceptions. Meanwhile, Lucas Salas is going to drop back here. Salas is wide. Vivacqua's taking the lead. And now Regadas is going wheel to wheel with Salas down in the braking zone for the Chapino dos Porsches. Paludo's going to get past them both if they're not careful. 3 wide into the left-hander. And Vivacqua runs wide, loses the back end of the car, cuts across Paludo. Christian Hahn is going to keep his foot in. So is Caparato. And Christian Hahn will get past both men. Caparato splits them. They drift out wide up the hill, and Caparato will finish the move on Regadas. Ludo now has the inside line for Marcos Regadas. Regadas round the far side of Caparato. This is magnificent racing on a bone-dry Interlagos. The battle is so much better than yesterday, as Antonella Bassani goes wheel to wheel with Miguel Paludo now. But she leaves the door wide open. That's going to be Alsu Feldman on the inside line. Bassani's got to keep her foot in on the far side, but she drops in behind Alsu Feldman. Great racing. Look out, running wide, pushes them off a flight, slightly off line there. Meanwhile, Alsu Feldmanito is now chasing down Antonella Bassani. This new boost activation system is really fantastic, as we run on board with Antonella Bassani, who's only got 1 boost activation left by the look of it. Charging down the straight, Matias Camerato is going to get the haul here on Christian Hahn as they go wheel to wheel. Down the inside, Regadas is going to make his bid, and he hits Caparato. Caparato spins around. Christian Hahn has to take avoiding action, and it's Matias Caparato who's facing the wrong way. Marcos Regadas is surely going to be investigated for that, as Matias Caparato, his race goes for a burden. So to the inside line, here's the replay. Regadas just too hungry. They slide around on the dirt and the dust. Regadas commits to the move, gets it on, hits the back of Caparato, and Caparato spins around. Well, that's really shuffled the deck, but Matias Caparato will be absolutely fuming as Bassani goes wheel to wheel with Regadas and Alsu Feldman-Nito. Drifting on the far side. Watch out, guys, because here comes Marcel Muller up the inside line. So Bassani's got ahead of Alsu Feldman-Nito. Marcel Muller will do the same thing. A really solid battle continues on the way. But Marcos Regadas has now got pressure from Antonella Bassani in the Mobile 1 car. Bassani tries to dive up the inside, can't get there. Marcel Muller, Alsu Feldman-Nito, and we've still got a stationary Matias Caparato at turn 1. Could that trigger a safety car? Because he's not moving. And the field is about to get to that point on the course. Don't forget, a full chat. Safety car, safety car. So with Matias Caparato unable to move his car, we are going to get safety car in the second race of the weekend. Here's how it happened. A slight clout from the back on Matias Caparato's car from the 17 Marcos Regadas. Any chance of winning the second race of the weekend seems to have disappeared now for Regadas, He's almost certainly going to get a penalty for that. Here's a replay of the start. The race has been so hectic, we've not really had a chance to look at the start in fine detail as the field conflagrates into that first corner. Cracking launch from not just Salas, but also Regadas. And then it comes the conflagration. It's the melee in the middle. That's how Gustavo Janon and Yosemar drop down. And of course, we've also lost Christian Moore with damage to his car. Here's the replay of the start again from the front angle. Great start from Lino Perez initially, but Lucas Salas was already putting him under jeopardy into that first corner. Thiago Vavacqua so nearly making a place or two there. And as the field dove their way through the centre, there's the conflagration, there's the spin, and it's the hard-charging Yosemar Junior that's pitched into a spin there. Gustavo Janon and Christian Moore picked up damage. Everybody else had to take avoiding action, almost 3 wide in the first turn. Let's see if we can pick the moment again between Yosemar Junior. Now there it is, there's contact on the inside line of Junior. I think it was Nelson Monteiro that initially pitched him around, as everybody else just tries to avoid the melee, and Christian Moore does not, nor does Gustavo Janon. On board with Miguel Mariotti, he gets to see most of this play out. He got a lot of contact himself there as he rubs wheels with Edu Guedes. Everybody else just trying to pick their way through the fray. But the safety car has already picked up the leader and is already lights out. So it looks like we're going to go back to racing conditions very quickly indeed here. Just a slight need to move Matias Camperato's car off the racing line. Well, the race lead is showing us up as Thiago Vavacqua in front of Lucas Salas now and Miguel Paludo. So it is indeed Thiago Vavacqua who leads the race. But on this restart, it's going to be a tricky one. The safety car is pushing hard to try and make sure the field doesn't overtake it. And as they charge down the home straight, we are back to racing conditions. It's green, 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 green here at Interlagos. And Thiago Vavacqua trying to hold on to this lead as Lucas Salas goes door-to-door with him. Big charge forward from Elsie Veltman. He's going to drift wide. Christian Hahn goes off the road. Cuts back in alongside Marcos Regadas with Antonello Bassani stay in the hunt here as well. The Christian Hahn drifts off the road. Elsie Veltman drops back behind Miguel Paludo. So Elsie Veltman now finds himself down in 4th position. Paludo hunting down Lucas Salas with Thiago Vavacqua still in the lead. Marcel Muller side by side with Elsie Veltman. They drift off the road. Muller keeps his footing and drifts around the outside of him. My goodness, this boost activation system has really spiked up the racing here in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Not that it needed any more spice. Now it's practically a fajita. Rolling down towards the Pinheirinho. Good stuff from Thiago Vavacqua in front of Lucas Salas and Miguel Paludo. Wheel to wheel, it's Lino Perez, challenged there by Israel Salmen and Silvio Modestoni. Nelson Monteiro not far behind them either. Down to the braking zone for the Pico de Pato. And Francisco Horta trying to make his move there on Nelson Monteiro. 6.5 minutes to go in the second race of the weekend in Porsche Cup Brasil. It's going to get tight as Antonello Bassani tries to take on another challenge on Marcos Regadas. But Elsie Veltman is now the man who leads the sport category ahead of Regadas. But overall, the race leader is Thiago Vavacqua ahead of Lucas Salas and Miguel Paludo. Christian Hahn has dropped back. So now as we cross the line, it's Vavacqua, Salas, Paludo, Feldman. Feldman's going to go for the inside line of Paludo. Not close enough. He has to hang back. Behind Feldman, it is Regadas, Antonello Bassani, Christian Hahn, and Marcel Muller. He's P8 going wheel to wheel with Elsie Veltman. Elsie Veltman drops in behind him now as Lino Perez goes wheel to wheel with the Rust-eze car. So into the inside line goes Elsie Veltman. And Lino Perez manages to put one over on the Brazilian Lightning McQueen. That's Israel Salmen just in going full guns blazing as well. Good effort so far from Israel Salmen in 11th position. And it's a drive-through penalty for the number 17, Marcos Regadas. That's for his incident, pitching Matias Camperato around in a spin that put the Brazilian out of the race. So Matias Camperato's retirement comes back to bite Marcos Regadas. He will take a drive-through penalty, and that means he will not have a chance of winning a second race in a row. Bassani, Hahn, Marcel Muller. Great deal between these three Carrera Cup drivers as they run in behind Marcos Regadas, who will surely come into the pits this lap to serve his drive-through penalty. Bassani dives on the inside of Hahn to defend the position. Here comes Marcel Muller. Watch out for Muller on the run down the home straight. As Bassani is chasing after Regadas, Regadas will surely go left into the pits to serve the drive-through, which indeed he does. Side by side, Christian Hahn and Antonello Bassani over the side. Watch for Marcel Muller, who'll try and go around the far side. Bassani trying to shake off Christian Hahn into turn one, and that will do very nicely. Christian Hahn keeps his foot in and has to skip the chicane. So Bassani has now got pressure from Marcel Muller. Christian Hahn boxes Bassani in as Regadas takes over his drive-through penalty. But Bassani will be furious. Get out of the way, Christian. You skipped the chicane. I'm allowed to get ahead of you now. And so Bassani round the outside makes sure she does it. Christian Hahn doesn't have to give way to Marcel Muller, who drifts off the road, keeps his foot in and drives round the outside of Christian Hahn on the curbs. Now he'll be on the inside for the left-hander. And into the barriers goes the 85. That is a very unfortunate end for Edoardo Menossi, as Antonello Bassani has worked her way through the traffic safety car once again. So, safety cars breed safety cars in motorsport circles. But it's Edoardo Menossi who ends up bouncing off the barrier on this occasion. So we'll have to try and figure out where that incident happened as we look at Antonello Bassani's pit crew. They'll be keeping an eye on her progress. She has no more boost activations that she can use. But with the safety car out with 3 minutes to go, it could be a very quick sprint to the flag now. Let's have a look at what happened in turn one. Oh, this is Christian Hahn and Antonello Bassani. So Bassani squeezes Hahn. Hahn goes over the chicane and rejoins directly in front of Antonello Bassani. And that's why Christian Hahn eventually relented and let Bassani through. There is a very scary moment for Edoardo Menossi. He spins his car, then tries to restart it again, but more problems as he spins the car, trying to rejoin. So the safety car, the field, I think we'll just about have time for one flying lap here, because Edoardo Menossi's car is not damaged, it's just in a precarious position. And already the safety team appear to have moved Edoardo Menossi's car off the racing line. They're so quick in Brazilian motorsport when it comes to the marshals moving cars off the line. There are plenty of experience of trying to get these cars out of harm's way. And so the marshals will obviously protect the drivers' interests and keep them safe in a very precarious situation. The safety car has now bunched up the pack. I don't think we're going to be behind this safety car very long, because Edoardo Menossi didn't hit anything and certainly didn't get hit by anybody. So I think he's actually going to dodge that one. They should be able to clear his car pretty quickly, and then we'll get a last couple of laps dash to the flag, because of course it's 25 minutes plus the additional lap. If we get started on this lap, it's going to be a 2-lap sprint to the flag, and the safety car lights are out. So we are going to get a 2-lap sprint to the flag. And this is going to be big pressure now for Thiago Vivacqua. So looking at the boost activations going into this final sequence, Bassani has no boosts left. Alcy Feldman has 2. Trying to see who else amongst the leaders has a decent amount. Perez has 2. Salas has 2. Marcel Muller has 3. Marcos Regadas has 3, but he's down at the back. Paludo has 3. And Thiago Vivacqua has 1. So he's going to be an absolute sitting duck here, as he's got Lucas Salas and Miguel Paludo with 3 boosts apiece. And Thiago Vivacqua only has 1. The race restarts, and it's green in the 20th anniversary weekend. Race 2 in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Antonello Bassani trying to break into the top 4 ahead of Alcy Feldman. It's easily Antonello Bassani's best race in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil so far. She's in P5 and looking good for P4 if she can get on terms with Alcy Feldman, even though she has used up all her boost activation. A big accident through Kermit Assault, and that is the Grand 7 Porsche that has spun around. A big moment there for Miguel Mariotti. Let's see what happened. Mariotti going wheel to wheel with Marco Billi They come together once. The back end steps out for Mariotti. He tries to save the car, and he spears into the side of Billy a second time. So he spins the car, and Mariotti gets going again. I don't think it's going to be safety car. They just about get away with that one as Marcel Muller is all over the back of Christian Hahn. They've both got ahead of Antonello Bassani now. So Marcel Muller has worked his way through to an incredible P6. He's trying to work his way through to the top 3. He's going to run out of time, but he's got a great chance to get ahead of Christian Hahn. Dropping down to Majalio. Over the camera that's embedded into the curb. Rujen Gao. And on the power, Thiago Vivacqua trying to get away from Stallis and Paludo. Then it's Elsie Feldman, Christian Hahn. And then Marcel Muller in front of Antonella Bassani. She's just going to miss out on the top 5 at this rate because Marcel Muller is battling away with Christian Hahn for what is going to become the race for P6. Down to the braking zone. Christian Hahn still holds the inside line. It's actually for P5, my apologies. As Christian Hahn and Marcel Muller are still dueling away for the top 5. This is the last lap. Antonella Bassani and Elsie Manito are waiting in the wings just in case these two collide. And there's the puncture that has taken Marco Billy out of this race. That incident's going to be investigated after the race. And Paludo dives in on Lucas Salas on the last lap. And he's through to second. No, he's not. Lucas Salas keeps his foot. Oh, Muller collides with Bassani, and they both go into the barriers. Marcel Muller collides with Antonella Bassani. That is game over in the championship for Marcel Muller. I cannot see how Marcel Muller is going to fight back from that in the championship fight as Antonella Bassani goes into the barriers on the last lap as well. Big drama here in Interlagos as now Paludo is hustling Lucas Salas on the final lap to try and break into second place. Let's have a quick look at what happened. Well, this is a turn 1 and it's a pirouette for Leonardo Sanchez as well. We need to go back to the final corner. He's got a puncture, that's why he spun it. But the checkered flag is going to come out here for Thiago Vivacqua. He used a lot of his boost activation, but he was able to get well clear and save. Thiago Vivacqua takes the checkered flag and wins race 2 in the 20th anniversary weekend of the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil at Interlagos. Fantastic for Thiago Vivacqua. A mature and intelligent drive using the new boost activation system to good effect. He used up a lot of his boost, but he got himself into a strong position that meant nobody could get near him in the closing stages. A great drive from Vivacqua. Lucas Salas is second, Miguel Paludo is third, and after the chaos of Marcel Muller and Antonella Bassani colliding on the last lap, Elsie Feldman comes through in 4th position, and of course is the winner in the sport category ahead of his son, Elsie Feldman-Nito, who will come through in 6th overall behind Christian Hahn, and with the fastest lap of the race as well, and second in the sport category. It's a family 1-2 in the sport category. Elsie Feldman and his son, Elsie Feldman-Nito. Third in sport will be Linu Perez, ahead of Israel Salman and Seba Malucelli. But Thiago Vivacqua is the overall victor. What a fantastic race from Thiago Vivacqua. He really is getting the hang of winning these races now. A great effort from Thiago Vivacqua. And that was a truly special victory. Really, really calculated from Thiago Vivacqua throughout the course of the race. He absolutely delivered and pushed only when necessary. Stunning drive from Thiago Vivacqua. And that is, for my money, probably his best win in the championship so far. Excellent work from Vivacqua. Elsie Feldman is the winner in the sports category. And in the rookie category, it's Bruno Campos who takes victory in front of Marco Bazzani, Edu Guedes, Vanya Pontes, and Silvio Modestoni. There is Elsie Feldman, your winner in the sport category, ahead of his son, It's a family one too in the 20th anniversary weekend. That's a lovely story. So Alcin Feldman in the tag by Porsche. It's a victory for Thiago Vivacqua. A brilliant performance from Thiago. He is given the bow that he can celebrate with on the top of his car. He went a-hunting and got the victory he deserved. Alcin Feldman will go on to the top of his roof in the battle for the in the sport category. He claims the win ahead of his son. And in the rookie category, it is Bruno Campos who delivers in fantastic fashion. What a crazy second race it was. And I tell you what, boost activation, it works. It really does spice things up in the Porsche Carrera Cup. So Alcin Feldman celebrates a great race and a fantastic victory in the sport category. And 4th position overall, which means he'll go to the podium twice. And there is a very happy Bruno Campos, the winner in Interlagos in the rookie category in the 20th anniversary weekend's second race. Brilliant performance from our 3 victors. And that is exactly what the doctor ordered. Alcin Feldman. There's his son, Alcin Feldmanito, who finished 2nd in the sport category. He's delighted. Bruno Campos is going to celebrate with his team at the edge of Parc Fermé. What a thrilling race. 3 completely different race winners across the category in a thrilling encounter that saw so much drama right to the bitter end. Apologies there. Thiago Vivacqua taking the victory in the number 10 car up front. A fabulous performance from him. 2nd for Lucas Salas after a very tough race battle indeed. 3rd position for Miguel Paludo, continuing his fight for the championship title. So for Thiago Vivacqua, it's a very impressive race victory in front of Lucas Salas and Miguel Paludo. 4th position is Alcin Feldman. He will also take the victory in the sport category. And P5 for Christian Hahn on the race podium. So plenty for the drivers to get excited about here at Interlagos. And don't forget, of course, you need to stick around because we've got the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil 2nd race coming up very shortly indeed. And again, it's the top 8 that get reversed, which is for Lucas Locatelli, because he was the original pole position sitter yesterday. He finished 8th in race 1. My apologies. No, he finished 6th in race 1. The top 6 are the ones who get reversed in the race. Here's what happened between Marcel Müller and Antonello Bassani at the end of the race there. Interestingly, Marcel Müller lost the car, trying to go wheel-to-wheel with Christian Hahn. Antonello Bassani tried to take avoiding action and just went the wrong way. She went right instead of going left. Easy mistake to make. At the same time, we have Paludo battling wheel-to-wheel with Lucas Salas. And there goes Marcel Müller and Antonello Bassani into the barriers in the background. Very tough race and a very tough end for Marcel Müller and Antonello Bassani. And I'm afraid to say that for my money, that is the end of the championship fight for Marcel Müller. After 6 races, he's only scored 2 6 finishes. And the reigning champion has had 4 DNFs effectively. So I would suspect then that that's going to be Marcel Müller's championship pretty much game over. So to the podium celebrations then. And we're waiting for our race winner to make his way to the podium. We're also waiting for Christian Hahn, who hasn't made it to the podium. At least Bibendum is having fun. Nice moves, Bibendum. The Michelin man doing a great job there on the top of the grandstand. Well done to Bibendum. Christian Hahn, 5th position. 4th place for Alce Feldman. 2 trophies for him. 3rd place for Miguel Paludo. Great work in the championship. 2nd place for Lucas Salas. A great race from him this time. But the race win goes to Thiago Viva. A fabulous result for Thiago Vivacqua. That's his 2nd win of the season. And now he's right in the hunt for the championship himself. It'll be a good fight between these two, with Miguel Paludo scoring well in 3rd position. Alce Feldman can stick around because he's got another trophy to collect in the sports category. But it's a great victory for Thiago Vivacqua ahead of Lucas Salas and Miguel Paludo. So as Thiago Vivacqua picks up the overall, it's time now for the sport podium. And it's a family affair, a 1-2 for Alce Feldman and Alce Feldmanito. That's a lovely story on the 20th anniversary weekend. 5th position for the talented Saber Malucelli. Good comeback for him. 4th place for Israel Salman. He's doing a great job in 2025. 3rd position for Linu Perez. 2nd position for Alce Feldmanito, but it's his father who gets the victory in Carrera Sport. It's Alce Feldman. Great performance and 2 trophies for Alce Feldman to take home this weekend. What a fantastic performance it's been. And so father and son celebrate and bask in the glory on the Interlagos podium. What a great result for Alce Feldman and his son, Alce Feldman. So in a race that was full of drama right from the outset, it was never going to be easy to sort out who was going to win in rookie. Christian Moore certainly getting the worst of it for the first couple of corners. Several drivers losing the ground in the rookie category, including Vanya Pontes at one point. But well done to Vanya Pontes, who actually recovered to finish in the rookie category in the top 5. There was a lot of great battles through the race. This is in the early stages when Regadas was dueling away with Lucas Salas. Now we've got the rookie podium. 5th position for the race 1 winner yesterday, Silvio Modestoni. Top 5 again for him. 4th position for Vanya Pontes. 3rd place for Edu Guedes. Not a bad run from the TV celebrity. Marco Bazzani, a good 2nd position there. But the race victor is Bruno Campos. So the boys have had a fantastic race in the rookie category. And here in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil, it's time for the boys to get busy with a fizzy once again. And Bruno Campos can really celebrate in style his victory in the rookie class. Now we go straight in to the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. And it's going to be a great start for Lucas Locatelli from a reverse grid pole. The top 6 positions are reversed heading into this race. So Lucas Locatelli will take up position in pole once again, having originally taken pole position in qualifying on Saturday morning for race 1. He finished P6 in yesterday's race, so now he gets the reverse grid pole position, as it was the number 6 that was drawn. The starting grid. It's going to be Lucas Locatelli in pole position alongside Caio Chavez in the purple number 54. Caio Castro alongside Zara Gleiter filling up the 2nd row of the grid. Then in P5, it is Leonardo Herman alongside Gerson Campos, our race 1 winner. A fabulous opportunity further back as now Jose Monito lines up alongside Cecilia Rebelo. On the 4th row of the grid, on the 5th row of the grid, it is Luis Souza and Marquez to round up the top 10. 11th of the starting grid for Claudio Reina. Good comeback for him as he duels for the rookie win with Daniel Newman. 13th on the starting grid, it is William Arroyo, another driver fighting for rookie honours with Rafa Brocchi alongside him on the grid. Then it's George Filio. He goes alongside Fernando Uruda on the 8th row of the starting grid. On row 9, it's going to be a competitive pair. Rafael Bernardes alongside Matthias Roque, as we are now in amongst the non-finishers in yesterday's first race. So that's Andrei Kocinski and Claudio Chimiao also in the field, as well as Mario Dalata and Ricardo Zilberman finish off the field. So the 22 competitors are now behind the safety car. They will form up in the 2 tram lines as we know them to do in the 2 rows along the start-finish straight. On board camera with our pole sitter Lucas Locatelli in 177 car. We've also got an onboard camera with Mario Dallara. So expect a lot of great duels from the outset here. 22 cars going to battle in the Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil. Also a 25-minute race. So let's see going to come up with the goods. If that race was crazy, this race could be absolute carnage. They come off the turn. The safety car holds them in position. It's up to Lucas Locatelli to control the pace. The safety car will peel off. And then Lucas Locatelli has to carry the 2 rows down the straight, up towards the Arquibacadas, the kink that leads onto the home straight. And now the drivers are ready for the second race of the weekend in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. The 20th anniversary weekend will conclude with this race. Good charge to the first corner. It's going to be 3 wide at turn 1 because Caio Chavez fancies his chances of coming through. But it's Caio Castro who's going to get on the inside line. He can't get the lead. So Chavez leads. Castro is second, and Sadaglaita has come up to 3rd position. But the 2 leaders have already got clear. Now, I should point out that there is absolutely no boost activation system in the Sprint Challenge battle. It's only in Carrera Cup. So around the outside, Caio Castro. What a run from Castro to go around the outside of Caio Chavez and take the lead. Gerson Campos goes wheel to wheel with Leonardo Herman. The 2 drivers who battled for victory yesterday. But it's a great run for Caio Castro. He leads in front of Caio Chavez. That's Campos in front of Leonardo Herman. 24 minutes still to go in this race as we're on the first lap. Big time on the inside from Jose Monito. Cecilia Rebelo is just trying to stay hungry in the positions back. So Rebelo going wheel to wheel now with Jose Monito. And the bright pink machine of Cecilia Rebelo trying to work her way inside. And she gets contact. Oh my goodness. The girls have been cannon fodder today as Marquez pushes Cecilia Rebelo into a spin. Just as in the Porsche Carrera Cup race, Cecilia Rebelo completely blameless in that one. First, Antonella Bassani gets pushed out on the last lap of the Porsche Carrera Cup race. And now in Sprint Challenge, Cecilia Rebelo gets pushed out on the first lap. So across the line, and Caio Castro leads Chavez, Leiter, Locatelli, Campos, Moronito, Herman. And then it is, Leonardo Herman's had a problem. Leonardo Herman's come off the road. Herman's not come through. Oh, that's Luis Souza. Look at the back wheel. Luis Souza is limping. So Luis Souza has not come through, nor has Cecilia Rebelo. Well, now she has. But Leonardo Herman is not moving either. We're going to try and see a replay, I think, as up the hill. This is Luis Souza. Oh, contact. Not good for Luis Souza. He pulls right across on one of his opponents. And I'm afraid there's nowhere for Luis Souza to go. Spins the car around, but Leonardo Herman was in trouble on that first lap as well. He's not completed the lap either. In fact, he's coming to the pits So Leonardo Herrmann is in pit road. So problems for Leonardo Herrmann, as Castro is your leader from Chavez, Leiter, Locatelli, Campos, Mononito, Brocchi, and Nelson. Marquez and Marquez. So I've got a feeling that Marquez and Marquez is going to be under investigation any moment now for his incident with Cecilia Rebello. That's dropped Rebello down to 20th of the 20 cars that are remaining, because Souza and Leonardo Herrmann are not competing in the race anymore. No safety car for Luis Souza, so clearly his car is in a safe position. Here's Rafa Brocchi battling away with Marquez and Marquez. This is for 7th position, these two, as Marquez and Marquez gets his run straight. Rafa Brocchi is trying to keep his position here. He tucks back in behind Marquez and Marquez. Can he dive back for the inside line at turn 1? No, he can't. So Marquez and Marquez is up into P7. Ahead of Brocchi, then Daniel Newman, George Filio, William Araujo, and Mario Dallara. So down the Retta Aposta. Marquez and Marquez trying to get away from the two leading drivers in the rookie category, Rafa Brocchi and Daniel Newman. Down to the braking zone at the end of the Retta Aposta. That is William Araujo having a good duel there with Matthias Roque. Good pressure from Daniel Newman to try and take on the move of Rafa Brocchi. They're fighting away for the victory in the rookie category. Here is Newman. And there is Leonardo Herrmann's car. Stationary in pit lane. Oh no, sorry, that's Rafael Bernardes's car. Stationary in pit lane. He's trying to get going again. As here's the move from Daniel Newman. Side by side with Rafa Brocchi. The rookie race is really mounting up. Newman on the inside of Brocchi. Brocchi's not going to let him have it easy. And they bang wheels twice. Make that 3 times. And now they've hit each other. They just about avoid a big accident. But Rafa Brocchi is determined he's not going to let Daniel Newman through. So now Daniel Newman's really going to be angry. Rafa Brocchi holding his nerve and the lead in the rookie category for the moment. Brocchi versus Newman. If they mess up, then William Araujo is next in line. So let's see what happened between the two of them. Newman on the inside, Brocchi turns in. They bang wheels. They bang wheels again. And then on the overhead, we saw they bang wheels. This is how close it got to disaster. Wow. Very close indeed between the two men. So now Chavez is closing up on Caio Castro for the lead of the race. Chavez really wants the victory. He's got the fastest lap now of 1:39.7. But putting pressure on Caio Castro is going to need to be something he's got to sustain for the next 19 minutes or so, unless he can find a clear-cut maneuver to get ahead of his rival. So Castro holds on from Chavez. Look at the stumble further back as Daniel Newman has finally got ahead of Rafa Brocchi, and Brocchi's going to leave the door wide open. He gets drifted wide onto the marbles, and he'll lose about 6 places here as Filio gets a little love tap from the 7-7 of Mario Dallara. And I think there's a limping problem for Rafa Brocchi. I think he's picked up damage. So Brocchi is dropping a long way back. Dallara still joining away here with George Filio. Trying to get the move on the inside line, but Dallara is holding on. Let's listen in. Good acceleration from the flat 6 engine. But there is a great duel brewing between these two men. That's Mario Dallara in front of Matthias Roque. Here's Castro in front of Chavez. Chavez really putting Castro under some pressure in turn 1. And as the drivers work their way through, there's going to need to be some real brave positioning from Caio Chavez if he wants to get the overtake on Castro. So down the back straight on the Retta Aposta. And coming into the two left-handers at Subido de Interlagos. This will be an interesting one for Caio Chavez. He's really getting hungry in the purple Porsche behind the race leader, Caio Castro, in the red, black and white machine. Up to the right-hander. Chavez looking for his move here on Caio Castro. Up to the terminal. Oh, and that's a spin from William Araujo. Sorry, no, that's Mario Dallara. Dallara has spun. So Delata spins, and that puts the sport driver way down the order. How did he do it? Was there contact? There was, and it was William Arroyo. That was right the first time. Arroyo contact on the inside of Delata. So now William Arroyo is going to be under investigation. Looks like we could have several drivers from this race up in the steward's office later. Here's a replay of how it started. Arroyo on the inside, late as you like. Oh, he locked his brake. And that's when Delata was already turning in. So William Arroyo is going to have his excuses, but I'm afraid they won't wash with the officials. He's still going to be adjudged to have pushed Mario Delata into a spin. So that's going to be a slam dunk penalty. Meanwhile, we're going to have a really solid race a bit further back. Now, the first of the investigations begins as Rafa Brocchi and Daniel Newman are having an investigation into their incident. I've got a feeling that there's another fish to fry here that hasn't really been mentioned, and that is the treble 4 of Marquez Marquez for his incident on the first lap with Cecilio Rebello, and diving on the inside, a spin. Oh my goodness, it's all gone wrong for Rafa Brocchi, as Rafa Brocchi is nudged into a pirouette in turn 1. He manages to spin turn the car back. So this is the replay of what happened. This is Claudio Reina on the inside of Brocchi, and unfortunately the door was wide open for a retaliation, but it wasn't wide enough for Claudio Chimiao to get through on the inside of Rafa Brocchi. So Chimiao pitches Brocchi around. It is absolute chaos here at Interlagos. As now Castro has got big pressure from Chavez. And the more these two battle, the closer Saraglita will get to them. Lucas Locatelli is the fastest lap of the race as well. The sport driver now running in 4th place. Chavez all over the back of Castro. But I'd watch for Saraglita in 3rd if I were you boys. 10 minutes down, 15 to go in the weekend as well as in race 2. Chavez has got a good run on Castro. Over the finish line. Wait for the manoeuvre. Chavez building up on the inside. It's going to need a late braking manoeuvre. We get one from both of the first 2 men. So it's well protected at the moment by Castro, who continues to lead. Caio Castro is your race leader as we get a penalty, I do believe. And oh, sorry, there's an investigation going on. It's one of many. But the 77 and 33 are now under investigation. Those are Mario Delata and the 33 of William Arroyo. So the drivers carry on in the battle for the victory as Caio Chavez fancies his moves here on Caio Castro. Castro's defending, but watch for Saraglita. He's going to have a much faster run through the turn. So Saraglita is suddenly going to be on these two. And Lucas Locatelli, of course, has the new fastest lap of the race. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Castro, Chavez, Lota, and in 4th place, it is Lucas Locatelli with Gerson Campos sitting quietly in P5, only a couple of car lengths further back himself. So now there's 5 of them in the hunt for the victory. An immense effort now from the leaders. But Castro is holding on by a thread. Caio Chavez is lining him up, but so too are Saraglita, Lucas Locatelli, and Gerson Campos. This could still put his way in the top 5. Now to the first corner, it looks as though Lucas Locatelli might get the run on Saraglita into turn 1. We could get a bit for the lead as well. Chavez side by side with Castro. Who breaks first? Chavez goes long on the brakes. Tries to get the switchback manoeuvre. No change between Saraglita and Lucas Locatelli either. But Chavez is trying to race as smart as Castro is trying to race hard. On to the Reto Aposta. It's going to be a tough off race now. Charging down the back straight. Still going to be a good run and a big pressure for Caio Chavez. Really putting Castro under some pressure now. Through the double left. Up the climb. Chavez fancying his move on the inside, but he's not going to get it there. That really would have taken some bravery to finish off that manoeuvre. No matter what you try, on the way through that particular corner. If you try and get a move on the inside of Ferradura, expect a big incident if it goes wrong. And as they went up Curva de la Araña, that is exactly what he had to avoid. So into the Pico de Pato. Chavez is still swarming all over the back of Caio Castro as they drop through Machelio and up towards Juncal. So now they'll go into the left-hander, climbing back up the hill. Chavez very close behind Caio Castro. 12 minutes to go. And it's going to be a very tough race battle now as they go through Subida dos Pochets up to Arquibancadas. So through Arquibancadas onto the home straight. And then they will hit the center S. The first corner, well, past half distance now. So Chavez is running out of opportunities. Castro still going defensive into the center S. Through the left, through the right. Now they go through the Curva do Sol. The sprint challenge in Brazil has been very tight. Look at this for a replay. As Caio Chavez fancies his move on the inside. This is how he almost got the lead. But he had to bail out of that mover. That would have been clear contact. And that is a retirement. Walking in. I'm trying to see who that is walking in. I think that is Luis Souza, having abandoned his car earlier on. But still, the race rages on for Caio Chavez. In front is his main nemesis in this race, Caio Castro. Up through the Curva de la Araña. Now to the inside line, and he's going to nudge him wide. That is going to be a controversial pass for Caio Chavez, who makes the overtake there on Caio Castro. Castro won't be happy about it. There was a little bit of a nudge to try and open the door. And so Caio Castro is going to be with Caio Chavez, who manages to overtake. But is that going to stand? Will he be ordered to move over and let Caio Castro get back into the lead again? Let's look at it. On the inside line, there's not a gap really there on the inside until Caio Chavez creates one with a nudge on the inside of Caio Castro. Chavez slides through. That's controversial. Doesn't matter which way you look at it. Dives on the inside again, and as you can see, Chavez is turning in. Castro was also turning, but Chavez nudges Castro wide, and that's enough to change the face of this race. Now, Caio Chavez is not surrendering the move, so he clearly feels it was okay as we run on board with Lucas Locatelli, the man now in third position and leading the sport category in amongst the challenge drivers, ahead of Sadek Leiter and Gerson Campos. So with 9.5 minutes to go, Caio Chavez is under a cloud here, as he could well be investigated for that little love tap on the inside of Caio Castro. Because, of course, one of the fundamentals of racing is that you should not be looking for advantage by contact. And I'm afraid contact is absolutely what we had in that particular run between the two leaders, Caio Chavez and Caio Castro. Now, the question is, does Caio Castro stoop to the same level, or does he follow in behind Caio Chavez and look for a way to retaliate? Third place for Lucas Locatelli, then Sadek Leiter and Gerson Campos, who's having a very quiet race in P5. But looking at the way the marbles are rolling into his hand, it doesn't look as though it's going to cause him too much of an issue to finish down in P5. Meanwhile, George Filio is having a great battle here with Matthias Roque. This is for 4th and 5th position in the class. So far, the leader in the sport categories, Lucas Locatelli, ahead of Jose Morenito and Marquez and Marquez. The car in front of us is that of Daniel Newman, who is the leader in rookie. So George Filio trying to get away, as now Castro is under some pressure from Lucas Locatelli. He runs wide, and that's enough for Locatelli to get into second place. And this is where the protest for Caio Castro will get strengthened, because he will argue, well, if he hadn't nudged me out of the way, I wouldn't have been in the position to defend from Lucas Locatelli. I'd have been much further up the road. So that's going to be his argument. He drifts wide onto the marbles, and it's the second place man who comes through for the lead of the race at this point. So it's a tough old race out there, but Lucas Locatelli now to P2, and Caio Castro's lost the wheel. Caio Castro's lost the wheel on the far side of the course. Caio Castro, if that wheel came loose as a result of the contact from Caio Chavez, and the wheel's going to go rolling back onto the circuit, right into the path of the following cars. Oh my goodness, what a crazy moment in this race, and the wheel is still rolling down the straight. Well, this could trigger a safety car, and it does. Oh my goodness, a heart-stopping moment in the Sprint Challenge Brazil. Well done to everybody for avoiding the wheel. That was a scary moment, but we get away with it as suddenly Caio Castro, you can see there the wheel is starting to work itself loose. I think it's the contact that he had from Caio Chavez. There it parts company. Off comes the wheel, sending Caio Castro on a one-way mission to the barrier. And there's nothing Caio Castro could do about it. The wheel comes off, it spits off the car. Caio Castro out of the race. The wheel bounces off the tyre barrier and then back onto the road, onto the path of oncoming traffic. Well, we're on a safety car, so now that marshal could go and get the wheel. But that's going to be controversial. Caio Castro will have an argument to say, well, that wheel would never have come off if I hadn't been pushed wide by Caio Chavez, who basically rammed me out of the race. That's going to be his argument. So Chavez now leads Locatelli. Tarek is third in front of Gerson Campos, Jose Moronito, and Marcos Marquez, who I'm amazed has not been investigated yet for his incident earlier on with Cecilia Rebelo. Interestingly, Cecilia Rebelo is now up into 14th place, so she's definitely working her way through the traffic. We ride on board with Mario Delana. 5 minutes to go in this race. Now, why has Marquez not been investigated for his manoeuvre on the first lap with Cecilia Rebelo? If we've already seen some pirouettes been investigated through the length and breadth of the field, I've got a feeling that Marcos Marquez's incident could be investigated after the race as we pass the scene of Caio Castro's retired car, and the wheel has been recovered by the Orange Army. Well done to the marshals around the course. So the safety car has bunched up the pack. The 77 is going to get a penalty. That is the car belonging to Mario Delara. So Mario Delara is getting a penalty. Here's what happened to Caio Castro again, as the wheel parts company with the car sends him off the road. It's falling off the car, and there it parts company. There goes the wheel. Now drifts off the car into the barriers, and it really is game over for Caio Castro now. But there the wheel drifted onto the as Caio Castro pulled off at the marshal post. This is how close it got to total and utter disaster. Then we've got the battle between Matheus Roque and George Filho. How close was Matheus Roque to striking that wheel? Well, we dodge a bullet there as Matheus Roque now finds himself closing up on his main rival, George Filho. There is a very angry Caio Castro, I'm sure. The safety car stays out for a second full lap. So that's going to give us only about 2 minutes of a race. I think it's only going to give us 2-lap sprint to the flag here. But there's going to be a lot of conversations after the race as to who's done what and who's going to get a penalty for what. But Caio Castro is going to be livid. It's Caio Chavez who leads the way. Lucas Locatelli, second overall and second in the sports category as well. Third place, Gleiter in front of Gerson Campos and Jose Moronito. Sixth place is Marcos Marquez. Then it is Daniel Newman. Daniel Newman is, of course, the leader in the rookie category. 8th place for George Filho, 9th for Matheus Roque, and 10th place for Andrei Gajinsky. Then Willie Marayo, Claudio Reina, Mario Delana, and Cecilia Rebelo. Ahead of Fernando Arruda, Mario Shimiao, Rafa Brocchi, and Ricardo Silberman. We have 4 retirements from this race now, as the recovery crew clears Caio Castro's car from the scene and will put it back to the marshal's post for safekeeping. So Caio Castro joins the retirement list, which also includes Rafael Bernardes, Leonardo Herman, and Luis Souza. So the safety car patrols the field in the hope we're going to get a restart this time by. We're on board with Luc Monteiro. The lap times at full speed are 1:39.7. Lights out on the safety car. So we're going to go racing for the final 2-lap sprint of the weekend in the 6th race of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil season in this 3rd weekend of the championship. The 20th anniversary edition of the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil, marking 20 years almost to the weekend when on the 16th of April 2005 this incredible journey began, and we're still having amazing racing around the Brazilian and Portuguese peninsulas. What a battle it's going to be on this restart, as our leader will be Caio Chaves, although of course he's racing under a cloud. We don't know what's going to happen to him in relation to his love tap with Caio Castro, who is now out of the race. But we charge forward. It's a good restart from Caio Chaves as he comes onto the home straight, and it's green, 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 green for the last time this weekend. So Chaves trying to shake off Locatelli into turn 1. The tyres will be really tricky to keep the temperature now, as on the inside line, that's also Mononito fending off from Marquez and Marquez. So still a tough battle. Oh, and Claudio Chimiao has gone off at turn 1. So Claudio Chimiao into the S's at the center S, and it looks like he's clouted the barrier. I'm not sure he'll go any further, but if he can just pull his car to the infield, he can at least thwart a safety car, period, once more. So there's your leader, Caio Chaves ahead of Locatelli, Leiter, Campos, Mononito, and Marquez and Marquez ahead of Daniel Newman, George Filio, Matthias Roque, and Andrei Gojinski. So the big question here is, can Caio Chaves hold on to, and will he get a penalty for his involvement in the Caio Castro debacle? It's very hard to know which way the pendulum will swing on these occasions, as Sadek Leiter now puts pressure on the race leader in the sport category, Lucas Locatelli. The time has ticked down to 0, and now the drivers will climb up the hill and charge their way through to Subida dos Porsches, and then again through Arquibancadas. There are no worries at all for the race leader, for the time being at least. Caio Chaves ahead of Lucas Locatelli and Sadek Leiter. We go into the final lap here at Interlagos. Can Lucas Locatelli do anything about the leader? It looks pretty much a stalemate at the moment between the two leading cars. But Caio Chaves looks like he's going to come through for the victory. There's a lot of nail biting going on down in the garage. They may well be aware. Big accident for the 77. Mario Delara spins and pirouettes in the center S. He manages to recover, but that's not the first time in this race, never mind this weekend, for Mario Delara. Here's the battle, and guess who? It's Cecilia de Bello once again who forces the issue. She will not be pushed around this time. It's her who does the pushing. So Cecilia de Bello continues on despite a little bit of fisticuffs for Mario Delara, who then spins as he recovers. Oh, Mario Delara. What an embarrassing way for his race to end. So here comes Caio Chaves, who looks like he might get a bit of pressure from Lucas Locatelli in the final few corners of the race here. Caio Chaves is trying to hold on for the victory, but Lucas Locatelli has caught him right up. There's only going to be 2 corners to go. Up to the left-hander. Locatelli fancies a chance here on Caio Chaves, able to get him on the slipstream. Up the hill, and Chaves is going to hold on here from Lucas Locatelli. You're looking at the 2 class leaders in Challenge and Challenge Sport. Lucas Locatelli will take the win in Challenge Sport, but it's going to be Caio Chaves who wins the race outright. And it's a victory there for Caio Chaves in controversial circumstances. The 20th anniversary weekend gives us plenty to smile about in both Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. For the moment at least, Caio Chaves is the vencedor. So Caio Chaves is the race winner in the Carrera category, the Challenge category. Lucas Locatelli is the leader in sport. He comes through for the race victory. and you're going to have to go all the way back to 9th position to find the winner in the rookie class. But yet again, it's a deserved victory for Dan Newman. There he is, Daniel Newman in the Fiat Brazil jigsaw puzzle car. Excellent work from our 3 race winners. But the big question is, can Caio Chaves hold on to the victory with that little moment on Caio Castro earlier on? We'll have to see what the officials say, if they say anything at all. I noticed as well that Marquez has not exactly had an investigation or a penalty handed his way after his incident on the opening lap with Cecilia Rebelo. Certainly for the moment, though, it's all about Caio Chaves, who has managed to fight his way into the victory position with steely nerve and gutsy determination. Good win for Lucas Locatelli in the sport category. So he's going to have a very interesting race of it. The overall podium on the top 5 is going to feature 3 drivers from challenge and 2 drivers from sport, sorry. Chaves, Lucas Locatelli, Sada Gleiter, Geração Campos, and Jose Bonito are the drivers in the top 5. 2 of those, Lucas Locatelli and Jose Bonito, will now be going into their preparations for their next encounter at Interlagos. But Caio Chaves makes his way down pit road, and he will run very closely indeed with his rivals after this one. But there's a bit of a points gap now, as there gets Caio Chaves out of the car, celebrates with his engineers, and it's a very happy Caio Chaves on the roof of the podium of his car. He climbs aboard his machine, and it's a fabulous result for Caio Chaves if he is allowed to keep it. He will go to the podium for now. The investigations will be long and hard tonight. So Caio Chaves is victorious. There's also a big sense of achievement in second place for Lucas Locatelli in the sport category. So nearly grabbed the victory overall, 1 or 2 laps more, and I think he could have got there. But there's also celebration and jubilation in the category, because it's yet another great result for Daniel Newman, who climbs the jigsaw puzzle Porsche, and he's absolutely delighted to take the victory himself. So as the Porsche Brazil drivers come to a conclusion here in Interlagos, we really have a pair of races that had everything. So much drama this weekend, and as well as drama, 4 completely different race winners. But what we've certainly got now is an epic contest. Here's the provisional result. Caio ahead of Lucas Locatelli and Sada Gleiter. Geração Campos in a very solid P4. Jose Bonito in front of Marquez, George Filio, Matias Roque, Daniel Newman, the leading rookie, ahead of Andrei Kaczynski. Then the final drivers who will finish the race. 11th place for William Araujo in front of Cecilia Rebelo. Good comeback for her. Claudio Reina 13th, ahead of Fernando Arruda. Then Rafa Brocchi, Ricardo Zilberman, and Claudio Chimiao. Mario Delara dropped to the back. Caio Castro retired from the race, as did Rafael Bernardes, Leonardo Herman, and Luis Souza. What a dramatic second race of the weekend then for the competitors in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. As the drivers prepare to ascend to the podium for the last time this weekend, what we can tell you is that this weekend, with its activation boosts in Porsche Carrera Cup and its uncertainty in the battle between the drivers in the Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil, we have had such an amazing race weekend here at Interlagos. Pretty much anything that could have happened this weekend has happened in some capacity. And to this man, Caio Chaves, it could happen again, because post-race, there could well be an investigation into that incident between himself and Caio Castro that put the latter out of the race. So it's been a very tough race emotionally for all of the drivers out there who wanted to start the season in these first 3 weekends with a relatively neat and tidy show. But here is the battle between Caio Chaves and Caio Castro. It got very personal at one stage of the race, and it ended up actually getting physical. The move came And it was a cheeky one as Chavez moves Caio Castro out of the way. And as a result of that, Castro's wheel worked loose, and that was enough for Castro to lose his wheel. So at least the drivers have got 2 months of a break now before we get ourselves into the next round of the championship. But it's going to be a very entertaining one for our men and women in the paddock, as we now have an 8-week break in the Porsche Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge in Brazil. The fourth round of the championship will take us back to Portimao for the first time in 10 years. And it is going to be a fantastic return to the circuit on the calendar for so many drivers. The scene of the most recent visit from Portugal in the world of Formula One. So from one Formula One venue to another, from Interlagos to Portimao, that weekend will be the fourth sprint weekend of the season. That'll be on the 28th and 29th of June. So the top 5 drivers then on the podium as they all gather to collect their trophies. And it'll be a very exciting one for all of the contenders. They've given us plenty of excitement and drama that did not abate at any point through the course of proceedings. So Jose Morenito coming through for the victory in the top 5 positions, I should say. P5 for him. But it all comes back to the fabulous performance and the great victory that we saw from the man on the top spot. It was very close, right the way to the last. But Caio Chavez will be the one who lifts the victory in the Sprint Challenge. Certainly provisionally, it would not shock me if there is an investigation. But we will have to wait 8 weeks for the continuation of the championship at the Autódromo Algarve in Portugal. So certainly for the moment, the challenge drivers, led by Caio Chavez, celebrate in fine style. But it was always going to be a controversial affair and a very scary moment or two throughout the course of this race. Certainly Caio Chavez holds the lead after the race action for the moment, but there could be an investigation into him. As the drama continues for him, it certainly won't continue for the man who's come through to take the victory in the sport category, Lucas Locatelli, who hustled him all the way through. And he is the one who is confirmed as our race victor in the sport category. The podium ceremony for the sport drivers. Matthias Roque, 5th position, good effort. 4th place for George Filio. The 2 drivers almost struck the wheel of Caio Castro through the course of proceedings. Thank goodness they didn't in the end. So Jose Morenito picking up the trophy for 2nd place, as well as the overall P5 trophy. But Lucas Locatelli is the one who gets the victory after a sensational run all the way to the victory in the category, and 2nd overall. And so the celebrations begin for the drivers in the sport category. It's 2 trophies and 2 bottles of champagne for Lucas Locatelli and Jose Morenito, because both of them ended up in the overall top 5, as well as in a 1-2 position in the sport race. Good effort this weekend from Lucas Locatelli. He's really stepped it up over the course of the last few weeks. And now the drivers will regroup, they will go away, and they will try and find something special in themselves into the summer phase of the season. We've got the sprint weekend at Portimao on the 20th and 29th of June. Just a week later, the championship remains for the first of our 3 endurance races over this season at Portimao. Then there'll be a few weeks gap. The trophy weekend at Interlagos will be next on the 2nd and 3rd of August. We don't have coverage of that race weekend on Motorsport TV. Then we'll have the 28th and 29th of August. It'll be over to Estoril for the 6th weekend of the championship and the 5th sprint race weekend of the year. The 31st of August, we'll see the drivers continue on just 2 days later with the endurance race at Estoril. Then on the 8th and 9th of November, it's Formula One weekend as guests of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. for the sprint race weekend at Interlagos. And then the endurance at Interlagos will be on the 22nd of November to finish off the season. Congratulations to Daniel Newman. He's the rookie victor here this weekend, managing to hold off the attention of William Araujo and Ricardo Silverman in the closing stages. But a fantastic finish to the weekend. And in a weekend that really did have everything: the boost activation, the drama, the chaos, and the pandemonium across 4 races, and of course, the competitive qualifying sessions that we had in yesterday morning's race. It couldn't really have been a more drama-fueled and more octane-charged weekend to celebrate 20 years of the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil. It's been magnificent, and we can't wait for the next round of the championship 8 weeks from now, on the 28th and 29th of June, on the Autodromo Algarve, the Portimao circuit in Portugal, for the first race weekend in the championship for 10 years. From Jake Sanson, from my producer Nicola Sotolu, and everybody here at Motorsport TV, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back for more great action from the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil and the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil 8 weeks from now in Portimao in Portugal. From all of us here, we'll see you for more great action in 2 months' time. 20th anniversary season of Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Goodbye for now.